Yeah,
Only takes me 2 weeks to get back into it. That's cool. Hey,
yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Sales Chat. Today's Friday. Oh, what a great week. I love saying this on Friday. What worked, what didn't, what flopped, but most importantly, what did you learn?
Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
Sorry, brother
Boom.
Ryan. I just totally stole that from you, didn't I? I
No,
know
this
you
is
wanted
your
to
show,
do
man.
you
This
know.
is your show. So, we're all guests,
Yeah,
man. Like,
freaking thief.
Yeah. We're like staples, the three of us. But hey, guys, Friday. Wow. How was your weeks? What's happening? I know that we're probably we got no chat going on yet. What the hell's going on here? Lisa must be sleeping. What's going on, people? What's happening?
yeah, it's been this morning's been really good. I on the radio they were prepping up Halloween music on there, so it's hard not to get hyped up for the week. But this week's been really good. I was kind of like thinking about it a lot. This week I took a lot of personal time to actually go over my 2023 goals. And I kind of gave myself a countdown, like 60 days to kind of get to where I'm at. So I'm extremely excited for my personal professional goals. One thing, Dan, that when I was doing this whole manifestation and talking about this was the traits and the person that I want to be and the top 3 traits. So maybe I'll ask you guys this too, like maybe ad hoc here, is like the 3 traits that I want to continue working on myself is to always be humble, generous, and relentless. So those are 3 things. Maybe I'll go get it tattooed on myself or put it up on my desk or something like that. But those are 3 traits out of everything that I think is extremely important for me. So I'm excited. I've learned this from you, Dan, and from other people I've kind of seen too, is like make dreams so scary that you're scared of them, but you're ready to go. Right. So it's been a great week for me. Just positive and just kind of like keeping forward and businesses. And you know what? When you have a positive mindset, business will take care of itself, right? So in all facets of life. So business has been really good. Personal's been really good. But that's been my week, brother. That's what I've been working on.
If you're one thing that I learned years ago from a mentor of mine, and I actually have 6 of them that go off every day, is I'm energetic, enthusiastic, and impactful. Those are my 3.
Mhm.
And I set reminders on my phone, because my phone's kind of always here. And then because I have everything's Mac, it comes up here, it comes up there. And it's just energetic, enthusiastic, impactful, and all 3 words. And I set a reminder for like 4 times a day, 3 times a day. And what I find is you see it and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like raise your energy, become impactful, and then after about an hour and a half to 2 hours, it kind of starts because things are happening. You're kind of going back and forth. And then all of a sudden another reminder hits. So if you're like, I've got all my things in front of my computer. So when I look at my computer, I look at the sales hacker, I look at what I teach, I look by choice, but I also have it on my phone. So if I'm not at my computer, it reminds me. Another great thing that I learned is triggers. For all of you that are looking to create new habits, triggers are one of the best ways. So for example, every time I walk through my office door, I say energetic, enthusiastic, and impactful. So it's like
I love that you say that.
trigger.
Because one of my favorite books that I've read is Ryan Serhant. He's probably one of the best real estate people out there. Listed, I think he has $1 million listing. That's his TV show on Bravo. And every day before he even starts his day, he says ready, set, go. And then when he says go, he's ready to go. And it's if anyone was watching, check out Ryan Serhant. He's probably one of the best influencers out there. But just coming back to your point, like I think that trigger. It's so key to have it, right? Because we can always kind of get caught up in it, right? So definitely.
I think remind ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like everything in life, right? Like anything, you have this new idea and it creates this energy inside of you where you're just like, oh my God, yeah, let's go. But it wanes over time. Like yes, it falls off for a lot of people, which is why a lot of people's dreams never come to fruition, because they don't put that energy, effort, and extra positioning in, where when the motivation fades, how do you keep stepping and moving forward, right? And habits, triggers are some of the best ways to get that done, because you train your body. Okay, perfect trigger. For all of you that are smokers, what happens the first thing you do when you get in your car? You light a smoke. right? Like when I was a smoker, it was triggers that made me want to have a smoke.
Mhm.
I could sit there and work for 7 hours straight, never think of a cigarette. As soon as a problem hit, I'm like, I gotta go have a smoke and figure this out.
Yeah.
And it would be that trigger. When I got in my car, that was the trigger to get in the car, put on your seatbelt, light a cigar. Right? When I would stop on my way to work to get a coffee, that was the trigger to light another smoke, right? Like, so everything in life is triggers. I had the pleasure of speaking to a group of entrepreneurs and salespeople and business people yesterday. And one thing that was very, very clear was it was like, okay, how do we really get that energy starting right away? Like, how do we come
Mm.
out full force? And how do we do it every day? And it's challenging, man, because we all have difficulties. We all have issues. We wake up in the morning and we're not as energetic as we were yesterday or as energetic as we wanted to be. Or, we had a rough night's sleep. And, I'm sitting here, I've had maybe 3 hours sleep last night. I just was uncomfortable. My hips weren't really, and I was like tossing and turning. And before we go live, before I come on, it's okay, how do I want to come across today? How do I
Mm.
want to serve? How do I want to bring the energy to the audience? And that's what we do. And some people are, oh, well, fake it till you make it. I don't believe that. I believe that
Yeah.
we have to bring energy across because our energy is infectious to other people. And when we come across and we're excited, we get other people excited and they get excited and they're like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. Right. This is the whole internal piece of motivation is that it raises that dopamine, it energizes you and you get going.
And that's what I'm
But
interested to learn, like, with Jeff too, because, like, one thing I love about Jeff is that he's always consistent, every time, like, we've been doing these videos, every time I've seen him on other podcasts, everything like that, he's consistent, consistent, consistent. And you know what? Like, Jeff, like, maybe, like, what do you kind of do? Like, I feel like you're not the type to kind of like prep up yourself or things like that, but how did
I'm
you kind
not.
of learn that mellowness in
You know
he's
what?
just authentic. That's just him.
Well, and that's true. Honesty, integrity is first and foremost in my life anyway. And my trigger mechanism is I woke up this morning. And that
Mm.
starts my whole day. Every day I wake up with a smile. I'm pumped just as I am last night. It's the things that you worry about that you shouldn't worry about, that most people do. And it's those things that you really shouldn't even pay attention to, but you do. I guess it's just built on us to do so, right? The most simplistic, non-complicated things are the most complicated to us when we come to our think process, that things are going to go wrong. And you do that every day. I wake up, I smile, my positivity is higher than a kite, and I share that. I try to be that beacon of light for other people to follow, to have that same energy level. And I preach it on Facebook and I tell all my friends that, I've closed my inner circle. I removed the toxicity in my life, and now my focus is totally, not just here and being on the podcast with you guys, every day, but in my work, in my life, and what I tried to do. I don't get pulled into those negative positions. I just refuse to. Am I happy all the time? I guess I come across that way, but it's just that mindset. It really is. It's I don't know. It's like I'm smiling now, and I mean it. There was a time in my life 5 years ago, 6 years ago, where I wasn't like this. I was involved in the politics. I was saying negative stuff, and I was just like getting involved in shit that I really didn't really want to, but I didn't realize it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Until you just say enough's enough. Just cut that out, because it doesn't do anything for you. Personally, it doesn't give you drive. It doesn't give you determination. It just sucks you down, man. It just brings you down to a place that you don't need to be in, So that's what I try to share. I just try to be a damn good, decent human being. That's all, I still have things to learn. Every day is a learning experience, and you try to help out people. That's what I like, so.
But
I
you
mean,
know what, Jeff, you bring up a very valid point that every human being goes through it, where it's a disbelief that can I really accomplish that? Can I really do that? Like, did I get the education? Do I have the skill set? Do I blah 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 blah, right? And we all do it, and I think we
right.
learn into the next level of ourselves, right? Because we can't raise the bar unless we raise our skill. It's
Yes,
just in
exactly.
everything we do in life, no matter what it
Our
is.
thought process. It's our thought
Yeah.
process. You got to raise that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not going to get to where you need unless you have the proper mindset. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're not. You're not. You know, if you listen to other people and you don't listen to your gut and what you truly believe in, not what others believe in, but what you believe in, that's what's going to bring you up to that next level.
Yeah.
You can't
Well,
count
but
on that.
sometimes you sometimes you have to listen to others instead of yourself, because yourself will say you can't do it, and others will say, "Dude, you got more talent in you than you can believe." And I can
You
say
hear
that
that all
with
the time, right? You
I
hear
can
that
say
all the
that.
time. You
Yeah,
know,
and that's how I got into
you said it
logistics. The
before.
owner saw something in me that I never saw in myself. I thought I was a
Exactly.
loser. I was a grade 9 dropout. I was on unemployment. I was like, I'm a loser. And he's
And
like,
look
no,
at you
dude,
now.
you have a lot of friggin' talent. So sometimes other people step in and raise that bar for us. And we want to say, well, you believe in me. Maybe I can reach that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
But
let's
then
go for it. And pull up Kyle's message here, because Kyle, I think is saying exactly, and you might need to. Oh wow, look at that! They've fixed the restream, because that normally would only show half. That's pretty cool. Now you
Yeah,
can't
that's
see
pretty
Jeff or
cool.
that stellar handlebar mustache, but that's so. Speaking on humble peace, Ryan, I tell myself, yeah, I tell myself 3 things every morning: you ain't shit, you never done shit, and you won't be shit. You can be your worst critic. Uh, Work like you are broke, like the rent is due every day, and if you don't kill some, no, what does it say there, Ryan?
let's see
If you
here.
don't
If you don't
Uh, if you
kill
don't kill
kill
some,
some
some
shit,
shit that
then
day, you're done.
yeah,
I can kind of
exactly.
go from there. And it's Dan, just to kind of come back when you're talking about people. And one thing I read like the other day that really, really set, it was an Instagram post that I kind of saw, and it was like, okay, so Dan, think about this, right? In your head, you know Dan Deigan, the person, but in my mind, in myself, I'll have a different version of you. Jeff will have a different version of you. And the post kind of really, like, really said that, there's thousands versions of you out there
Yeah.
that you don't know,
Mhm.
right? And it's cool to think about that, right? Because like sometimes we think we're the hero in our own story. Sometimes we might even be the villain in other people's stories. But at the end of the day, that's out of our control, right? So it's really important, like Jeff kind of says, like everyone kind of fluffs you up, and it's kind of like that confidence and kind of things to kind of go from there. But it's really important to understand that, like even now, like when we're talking on here, it's like, oh my god, that's how I truly sound, like that's my voice, even though it's not the voice in your head that you think that you sound like, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's just really important to kind of always kind of like reflect. I love that you're kind of saying, like, go back into like your lessons of like learning your skill, if it's education, because it's so key. That's actually my lesson for the week, is that there's certain other projects I want to work on, and I've got to level up myself there. And these are
Yeah.
technical stuff, right? These are not mindset. Like I'm a big believer, like, hey, we can have the motivation to drive the car, but hey, if we don't know how to hit the gas pedal, then we're not going to go anywhere, right? So
Mhm.
it's kind of cool to look at those things. But Dan, I know you have an amazing win for the week, so I know we saved the best
Oh.
for last. So but yeah, let's hear it,
Well,
man,
Yeah,
because I think
let's hear
everybody
it.
needs to hear this.
It's good.
so thanks, Ryan. Went, as you guys know, on Tuesday I wasn't on the show. Went for my first checkup, and so it wasn't the scans this time. That's going to be at the end of November. But they put a camera up my nose, down my throat, and the doctor could not see a tumor. So that was, yeah. So that
Don't
was
you have an air horn?
yeah, it was a huge moment for Christine and I, when, because you got like doctors in, so you're kind of like, and of course I got this camera going down my nose. I'm like, what do you say? What do you say? To the doctor, and because you can barely talk with this, because it goes right up through your sinus and then down into your throat, right? So it's not necessarily the most comfortable thing, but it's like the doctors leave, and Christine and I just kind of look at each other, and then just we hugged and cried, and it was a very, very, very special moment. Now, um,
It's
we still
awesome.
have to have scans. Like there's still the CT scan with the dye and contrast, and the PET scan that really shows what's happening. But it does look like we've closed the barn door on it and burned the barn down. So
That's awesome, man.
um,
That's
that
fantastic.
the huge win. Second huge win is or I guess goal for the next 2 weeks is to eat instead of using the tube. And if I can do that and maintain my weight, they'll actually take the feeding tube out. So I'm super excited about that. A little difficult because the throat gets really sore. I mean, I eat 2 yogurts, and it's like, oh, shit, sore. But here's the funny thing. So this goes to skill, our ability, and our confidence. Okay.
Mhm.
45 years I've been eating. 6 weeks, I have to learn how to swallow again, if you can believe that. And this was for me one of the thanks, John. Appreciate it, brother. This for me was one of the biggest lessons this week. Is I actually a speech and eating pathologist, I think is what they call it. Anyway, that might not be right. Came in, and her job is to teach me how to engage all 30 muscles to swallow.
Mm.
And I'm looking at her, and she's like, "Okay, so try this, and then do this." And I went, "Oh my god, that didn't hurt when I swallowed." And I'm like, "I have to learn how to eat again." And she said, "Yeah." And we're talking so August, September. So yeah, more like maybe 10 weeks. But 45 years to 10 weeks, and I have to learn again. And I'm glad you talked about skill, Ryan, because to me, that lesson was always be leveling up,
Mhm.
always be upping your skill, because it's so. I guess the best way to put it is all of us are in sales. I'm sure all of us have taken a hiatus from cold calls, right? We just been busy, been doing what we're doing. We've been servicing our customers. All of a sudden, we don't make a cold call for a month and a half or 2 months. When we
Mhm.
go to pick up that phone, there's insecurity that starts happening. Regardless of how good you were before, there's insecurity that starts happening, right? And we it happens in every part of our life. I've spoken on stage hundreds of times. I've spoken into this camera to 5, 6, 700 people on webinars. I was speaking yesterday afternoon. I was more nervous before that speech and before that presentation than I'd been in a very, very long time. To the point where I'm texting Christine, I'm saying, like, I'm friggin' petrified here. And she's like, honey, it's like riding a bike. You're gonna get up there, and 3 minutes in, it's gonna be you again. And again, my last speech, my last delivery was probably 3 weeks before I went in for started my radiation, right? So mid-July. So it's not like it's been 4 years. It's been like July, August, September, October. So it's been like 4 months.
Right.
And for the last 6 years, I've been speaking.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, these things go away so fast. Always level up the skill. Always level up. Whatever you're afraid of, go do it right away.
Yeah.
Whatever skill you're afraid of, go get it right away.
And just that consistency. And you know what, like Jeff, I actually want to ask you this question because I know that you did some traveling this week. You went to go
Oh,
meet some customers and things like that. Would love to hear about what kind of happened there. And you know what, for the audience, and even for myself, what are kind of like the do's and don'ts, maybe the recommendations you have for actually going out and visiting customers and not necessarily wasting time because like we think we want to go wine and dine and do all that fun stuff, but you're very strategic in the way that you handle situations like this.
yeah. And it was been a very, very long time since I got on a plane and traveled, to see a customer. But
How
it's
was
those,
that, Jeff?
what's that?
How was that getting on the plane and doing all that? Like,
Well,
how long has it been
something?
since you actually traveled to see a customer on a plane?
Yeah. And here's the thing, everybody was like, "You're doing what? You're going down to Dallas in the morning and coming back at night? Wow, that's a long day. Why don't you stay overnight?" You see, I used to do this 5, 10 years ago and flew all over the place and do those 1 day things and even go out to California on a 1 day. Talk about a long day. That was crazy, right? Because you're taking a red eye in the morning and a red eye back at night. So I said, you know what? Let's just jump into the fire. It's been a long time. Let's see how I do. And I planned it that way. So I went back 10 years and I said, I'm going to do it in 1 day. Everybody said I'm going to be tired. Well, I came back so energized because it was a great meeting. I started thinking and saying, you know what? I got another client. I got a client down there in Dallas. I got one in Richardson. I got one in Grand Prairie, but my mind wasn't set the way it was a long time ago when all of a sudden it popped up. I'm here. Let's go. Let's go visit these other ones. And we had really, really good meetings. And that face to face, I really missed it. I really did. But that engagement, we didn't even talk about freight. It was really weird because You know the way I am. I don't talk about freight. I wanted to jump into that warehouse. I wanted to jump into the operations. I wanted to see what was going on, and things just started clicking, man. It was just a huge freaking win. And then one thing led to another. And I'm back at the airport with my partner, and we're having beers and we're celebrating and having a great old time. And it was just a smile all the way back, and it's those things that I really, really missed back then, And the funny thing about it, and I gotta throw Dan in here. Dan created a monster in me, I wasn't the type of guy that got on podcasts and started talking and everything. I was more of that guy like this and everything. Didn't find the time for my own podcast, Blindside Alley, way back, back in January, February. And then the unfortunate thing happened to Dan, and Dan asked me if I could fill in. And I said, you know what, I'm going to jump into the fire and do that. Now I'm really comfortable doing this kind of stuff. It was a skill that I learned, something that I was uncomfortable with, that I didn't really like doing. And look at me now, it's just like I'm on this one, I'm on that one, I'm here every morning, so things in your life can change for the better, and so I'm happy that Dan gave me the opportunity to do this, because my confidence level is up higher, than it was when I never did this, for sure. So it all really came together, that face-to-face doing this here, sharing those wins, and it's great, man. It's awesome. It really is. And I'm just happy that I had the ability to do that.
Of course you have the ability to do it. Of course you do. You do great with it.
You always had it in you, Dumbo.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. But we talked about many times here about being uncomfortable,
You just
don't
said that,
get into that.
doing the uncomfortable until it feels comfortable. Growth.
That's it.
We know what you meant.
I didn't even see right. I didn't even see that, and I've always stated it, that I'm the type of person that just it's that bowl syndrome. We fall in it. We all fall in it. We get very, very comfortable with what we have, and we can live with what we have. But those who really succeed and take it to the next level are the ones that go to the rim of that bowl and hang off by one finger and dangle to see what the hell is out there, and learn something and absorb something. And then once you learn that, once you absorb it and you use that, it's amazing out there, man. I strongly suggest that everybody get out of that bowl syndrome and hang off a cliff, and take that leap of faith, man. I'm telling you, you will grow astronomically, without a doubt on my mind. You just take that leap of faith and believe in your own abilities. You know them better than anybody else. Tap into them, make them happen, and you will see success. You will, guaranteed.
Well, Jeff, it's whether you win or you fail when you hang off that cliff, you're
Absolutely.
still going to be successful,
and you're going to learn.
Yeah, exactly. That failure is going to teach you something that's going to be a life lesson that you're going to sit there and maybe, hopefully, when you learn that, you can pay it forward and pass that on to somebody, so maybe they don't make that mistake. Now you've created a legacy point. And I mean, it's this perpetual, confidence, competence loop that we're always in life. Absolutely. And everything we do, it's just continuous. It's
I like that you guys said that, because it's like setting that blueprint as well, like help one. And that's one of the traits I was talking about, being generous, like, whatever mistakes I make, like pass that forward and let that kind of go in. I was watching something last night. Russell Peters was talking about how much wealth he's accumulated in his life. And he said he had a daughter, and he said after he had his daughter, he was like, why do I care about all these shiny things? Like, why do I care about this big house? I only care about my daughter, and I don't have kids yet, but I know you guys all have kids. Lisa, everybody in the thing is like, when you find that purpose, and like that reason to get up every morning, and you want to do better for them, because I know maybe you guys have thought about this, like, like, hey, what's going to happen when I go, and it's like, you think about your family, you think about your kids and things like that. So it's like having that legacy point and like having that blueprint and having to set them up properly, and that's, it's just amazing to hear, because I'm sure I'm listening to both of you guys talk about these things, and it's like, I know your family is deeply rooted in that. The reason why you guys kind of get up, the reason why, Jeff, you went to Dallas and came back the same night, instead of, you could have honestly chilled out there, went to TIA. I think TIA is in Phoenix this week, and just hung out for the whole week, and and end on that. But you're like, nope, business has to get done, bills have to get paid, rent is due. I'm doing it for me and my family, right? So that's commendable.
Ryan, there's a very fine line, and it's thin as a razor's edge.
Like,
and I'll tell you, out of full experience, when my kids were younger, all I did was work. And I said, well, I want to give them experiences they've never done. I want to, I want to be able to snowmobile. I want to be able to do this and do it. And that reason can become a big deficit in your life because you start working instead of being a parent or enjoying that downtime. And, that lasted for years, decade over, where it was just, working day and night. And it's like, get home from work and I'm on my phone and, oh, what's going on? I'm another deal. And it was like, you stop at one point and you go, okay, yes, my family is the reason I do what I do. And I think anyone that has a family, that is the nucleus of the reasons. Like anytime I've gone 9 levels deep with anyone that has children or a family of any kind, it was always the family was a nucleus of why they do what they do. But there's also that point where we don't, we find all it is work. And we justify it with, well, I'm working for my family. So just for everyone out there, just also understand that's as fine as a razor's end. And I'm sure all you parents out there will say the same thing.
Oh,
it's like, it's you can easily get caught up. Easily.
Yeah, something, Dan, my honesty, integrity is first and foremost. I say it all the time, man. I sucked as a dad. I really did. And the reason is, and you stole the words right out of my mouth, I just worked all the time, man. I missed my daughter growing up, and it was just work.
But during that time, Jeff, you were like, I'm doing it for them. So it was almost like it's justified up here to spend 16 hours in your office.
Yeah, but I didn't see my daughter grow up really because I was like always working, man, even on the weekends and just doing my thing. And, as I got older and got more involved, and then when I started my business and stuff like that, going on long trips with my daughter and spending that time, one year we got into her truck with her trailer and drove all the way down to Texas, pick up horses, and drove 36 hours, just me and her, just going down there and doing something. I mean, it was like one of the best things that we ever did, just laugh and everything. And it was like, man, I just missed out on so many things when she was younger and I wasn't a present dad, and I'll tell you what, guys out there, man, don't do that. I'm telling you right now, you only have one life. Don't lose those special moments in that time. You can't turn the time back and get that back and start all over again. It's one and done. So be wise, get that balance in your life, man. It's so critical to have that balance and be able to do your job, support your family, as well as support your kids when and where they need it. So, that's a huge lesson. That's a huge lesson that everybody should really take away from this show. Be there, be present. And I really sucked at it when I was younger. Sucked at it bad.
So, you know what, Jeff? It brings it Lisa's point here. I'm working on each week to make sure I'm being intentional. That's the key word, and that's the growth word in this entire. Oh, that was a nice little fade you just threw on your camera there, Jeff.
No, not. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Somebody turned the light.
Wow, that was a nice.
I was just gonna say he's getting all cinematic on it. He went deep. You know what? He went like very sentimental with us, and then he's like, "Let me drop it down, and we'll get some views and things like that." And
let me just chill this right out, and it's really good.
Bring it down a little.
And I kind of to add to that point that I really like that you guys kind of said is that like. I was the opposite. My parents actually was always present with us. My dad worked, and then when he came home, and it's funny how life happens because now I'm thinking about it. The job that my dad had, he was actually a shipping manager, and it's actually kind of mind blowing to me right now that I'm actually thinking about that right now, and I'm in the industry. But my parents always made sure, like the soccer practices, they were always there. The soccer games, they were always there. The music practice, like now that I think about it, my dad used to work downtown. Drive home 5 o'clock to Ajax and then drive us to Brampton for music practice at like 6-7 o'clock, and that's the one thing I've always enjoyed. And I actually had conversations with my wife because like we've had like different lifestyles like growing up and things like that, and I'm so appreciative to my parents for that because they've always been there, and it's really cool to actually see. And Jeff, you bring up something like you said that was really important, and another word for dad is actually DAT.
Brother, you got me on that. And I'm like,
I'm
DAT,
like,
is that
what
really
the
another
heck
word for
is
dad?
wrong
I'm
with
like,
this?
what
Well, you
the
know what? I
hell?
always call it DAT, the DAT or D. I don't even know what the
Yeah. No, it's another three-letter word that
Yeah,
like
the
brings
three-letter.
insight.
It was
Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah,
interesting
yeah, yeah.
segue.
Segue. So laying the day today, boys, is Dean was actually talking about it on Wednesday, but it's actually going to be reefer out of Laredo, Texas, going to Leamington, Ontario. Line haul RPM is looking at $1.34 cents a mile. All in with fuel is $2.08. Contract is looking $3.07 a mile. Year over year, line haul change has been minus 5 cents. And comments is that there's been upward movement on this lane as we're going to peak import season for produce into Canada. The current rate is about 27 cents, higher than the September average. And we were talking about this because Leamington is a huge beacon. It's a huge produce market in Ontario. I don't know what the numbers are, Dan, but I would say over 80% of our produce kind of comes from there within Ontario to our stores, whether it be
That's
peppers,
interesting. We'll
cucumbers.
have to look at that because Leamington's also a big automotive lane as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
But I would love to get that statistic because it's a pretty central area for a lot of the farms to bring everything into, right? So,
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah, you know
cannabis.
what? Even if you just pinpoint like the mega centers for produce in Canada, in the US, just to give some people some knowledge where those, geographical areas are and why, those reefers are in such big demand, because some people don't know that, and
Yeah.
so I think that data would help out a lot of people to have a better understanding of that side of the business.
Well, Jeff, we
let's
used
bring
to
it
have
next
like a
week.
website. Yeah, sorry, we have a
Mhm.
website called Produce Market Guide. It was a big one for me when I did produce like 6 years ago. But now they've made it that you've got to pay to actually get the information on there. But it's a very good resource, to kind of see
Just like
that stuff. And
everything else.
yeah, exactly, right. They saw it and they monetized. Well, you know what? I think shipping managers, because they had all the shipping manager information on there, so maybe shipping manager complained to them or something like that. But like there is resources out there. Blue Book, I know there's some people who are there who are Blue Book certified and kind of go from there. But yeah, it would be honestly amazing to kind of see, because Danny, like you've seen automotive come out of Leamington. I've done tons of produce out of Leamington, and it's just like, wow, this is crazy to think of those places that you never thought about before.
Well,
Yeah.
and so even for us, 75% of our chopped lettuce comes from the New England area.
Mhm.
And it actually goes in there, gets chopped, gets packaged, and then comes back up. And a lot of people don't realize when they're in that area and all of a sudden all the reefers dry up, it's because there's like 27 loads of chopped lettuce coming out a day. And it's all these little niches. And it's really cool that Dean's on every week because
Yeah.
you learn about kind of this new little niche and this new little pocket. And he's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to what's coming out of where and why does it come out and what are the seasonalities of it. And it'd be interesting because I'd love to see kind of a month by month heat map.
Yeah. Ooh,
That would be one of the
nice one,
coolest
yeah.
things.
We'd have to charge for
bring.
that, buddy. We'd have
No,
to-
think about it.
No, just
So think
joking.
about this for a second, and here's $1 million idea for anyone that can get it. A map of a month by month, and it goes into a poster, and it can be put up on a wall, kind of like the global maps, that most logistics companies have, and it's a 12-month calendar of a heat map of how freight moves in North America.
Let's pull it up one more. Let's take it up one more level. How about an interactive map with the same thing over 12 months that shows the wave of heat, as each week goes by? You see, it's like the weather map, right? When you see that storm
hurricane.
coming in,
Yeah.
when you see that storm coming in,
Red.
well, just imagine having that heat signal in those areas, and it starts moving as the season starts moving. You start seeing that all over the U.S. and Canada. Instead of looking at individual maps and stuff, I think that would be cool to see that wave and how it goes from the north down to the southeast, out to the southwest, and then as the season starts changing, starts getting back into May and starts pulling back up into the northeast. I mean, that would be really neat, because you think about it, that would have a direct impact on the way that reefers move and fans move and all of that. And you can see some type of predictability on that as well. I think that would be pretty cool.
And like even Dan was talking about like New England, right? Like I know when I kind of did produce, I never wanted to go to New England because there's never really anything to come back out. You know,
There's
we
nothing
just
coming
never,
out. That's for
yeah,
decades.
yeah, exactly, right. So even for myself, I would think New England, maybe lobster, maybe seafood's coming out of there, but rarely, very rare, kind of comes out of there too. So it's like it's important. I think we just kind of gave a cheat code. So I know Dan wrote it down. Is gonna copyright it, and it's gonna be.
And I'll give you the address for the royalties. I'll give you the address.
Yeah, give us the royalties on that bad boy.
Well, I'm actually already thinking about how to integrate it into the software.
That's it.
Because that would be
That's
you know, imagine that, right? Salesperson going through, bing, 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 bing. FYI, in 3 weeks, a really big wave is starting to come out of these areas where your customers might want to identify them and warn them.
Nothing, no better data than that, right? Real, authentic. Actual.
And it's real, you know, because like I feel like anytime you kind of look at these shows, like it's always a joke to kind of talk about Christmas trees, right? Like everyone talks about like
you know it.
Like yeah, you know exactly, you
Portland,
know, like
Portland, Oregon, you know, right before Thanksgiving, you know, you're going to see that capacity get taken right out because they're going to be moving Christmas trees. Coming out of Washington and Oregon, all over the place. You know, forget about it.
Oh, now rock salt starting, road salt starting, like all of that, right? So,
oh yeah, I mean, think about that. We're talking about the produce. Now look at the heat market for every type, right, of vertical products that move within the United States, and you can see that wave and how everything shifts. You know, from ports to the east. I mean, east to the west. All over. Just think about that interactive actual map with real data statistics. I mean, that would be mind blowing.
It would, yeah, and I'm going through the scope of it.
Yep, me too.
It would have to be live data. It would be massive because, like, hurricane goes through Florida.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden, all that citrus volume has shifted. Where normally, if it wasn't an interactive map, it would still say, "Oh, well, citrus is coming out of Florida." And it's like it is.
Yeah, no, it's
5
not.
trucks down there for 4 days, and nobody's loaded anything, right? So it's that.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's thinking outside the box. That's thinking totally outside the box.
Mm-hmm. And I know who my next call is going to be too.
From there, but I know let's keep continuing here, boys. Jeff, what were kind of like your lessons for the week, my friend?
Oh, lessons is that I got to start doing more face-to-face visits with customers. You know, I learned and missed, like I said, going and doing those face-to-face. You know, it doesn't. The lesson is that it doesn't have to be a customer that's in your corral that you're currently doing business. But if that potential customer, that prospect that you had just been engaging in everything, and the next step that you need to do to solidify a deal is to get on a plane and go face to face and lay out the plan in front of them, you know, I think would add tremendous value. I'm not going to say think, I know it does. Mm-hmm. I know that could be the tipping point of a deal. You know, because sight unseen is they don't know you, but now they put a face with a voice, and they can hear you, and they can ask those questions, and you can read body language and everything. I mean, it's a huge lesson. It really is. And if you can do it, not everybody can do it because they just don't have that money to do it. If you can do it, I strongly recommend get those face-to-face meetings. It really provides a lot of positive benefits from doing it. That's a huge lesson.
And I'll up that a bit, Jeff, because I remember one time my company was on the company I worked for was on a no travel, like a travel ban. But no, we got to conserve nobody traveling. And I believe in what you're saying wholeheartedly. I jumped on a plane with my own money.
Yep.
And I just and I went and I did and I closed the deal. And yes, the company took a portion of it, but I closed the deal. It was for my future. And I actually did same thing you did. I left at like 4:30 in the morning, and I got the 12:30 flight home from BC. So I went right across Canada, did my meetings, did everything I needed to do, closed the deal, closed another deal, jumped on a plane at 12:30, and got home at like 5:30 in the morning.
Best thing you ever did.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I slept the next morning because I only got home at 5:30. I couldn't sleep on the plane, so I slept till about noon. Got up, went into the office, did what I had to do, and it was on my dime.
Yeah.
And so even if your company won't do it, if you can afford it,
Do it.
Make that
And
investment in your future.
And even if you
It'll
can't
matter
afford
to
it,
you.
like, like one things I've learned is like, get some local customers, go and practice, like I
Oh, of
remember
course.
when I got into so I've been at three places. My first place, I never met a customer. It was all transactional. It was good from there. But the second one is when I would go with my bosses, and they told me, like, literally for the first 5 meetings I went them, they're like, just come here to listen, just come here to soak it in, understand what we're kind of talking about. And they crushed every single one, and it's awesome to kind of know. So even if you don't have the money, like, find a shipper that's really close to you and just pique their interest. Like Jeff always kind of says, like, hey, can I come and take a look at your warehouse? I want to kind of see what your daily operations, no
It is
strings
awesome.
attached, and get there, and then eventually you'll get those customers that you can go ahead and fly over to. But start local,
Even
man,
if you
and
don't have customers close, talk to somebody in your office and see if you can tag along to their meeting.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It gives you exposure, and yes, it's not your customer, but maybe you'll be able to add something to that meeting that will help them.
Yeah.
And then if you now have a meeting, you say, hey, can you come with me? Because it's especially if you're just starting, it's a little easier in twos, right? Where you can feed off each other and you bounce back and forth, create those opportunities with somebody in your office, right? So, hey, yeah, I really need to work on my meetings. Can you book some meetings this week and take me with you?
Yeah.
There's no problem. I don't see a problem with that. Like, I think that's an awesome thing to do.
It's the best
Now,
thing to, even doesn't matter
most
how far
people
up you
hold
are.
everything so close to their chest because they're
Don't do that.
paranoid, so maybe they won't let you. But
Yeah.
Nah, don't do that, because and like even people are like willing, like, there's times like I've asked Dan to come on calls with me. We've done a live call together, like in person. It's like, oh my God, I did not think of that, like when he was like talking and things like that. So like always, like, I think even the company that I'm with right now, like the top sales guy, like he's always willing. I can call him right now and he'll pick up, no one's ever too busy to not lend advice. So I think it's a great thing to utilize your teammates and do a give and take, right? Just don't ask them for everything and not give back, right? Like have that understanding, like, hey, I found a customer, maybe you're in a niche, maybe I think maybe you're better equipped, right? And then you kind of give and take instead of always taking.
Oh, I mean, I could give you a perfect story for that. I dealt with Hertz for a long time, and we were doing good business with them, and all of a sudden, we couldn't win any business. I had a stack, literally 4 inches thick, of all the rates I've given them, and I'm like, I don't understand. This customer is a great customer. All of a sudden, they're not. I get a call from my senior VP. He says, "Listen, a guy over here in this office really knows that market. I think he can work this account." And I'm like, "Take it. If somebody can work and go." He started doing 5, 6 Gs a week with them within 2 weeks. Because he knew the market. I was out of that market. I didn't understand that market. I thought I did. I was like, yeah, I got it, man. I got all of it, man. I've been around for so long. I know everything.
Yeah.
And and he did. And he's probably still crushing it.
Yeah, and something, that's
great.
a great point. And here's the thing, right? And we talked about, don't try to be a jack of all trades, right? So you own a company and you have customers and you're good in that one niche market, but you really want to take care of your customers, right? So what you want to try to do is find a partner that's an SME in a specific area. And what does that do? It brings in even more credibility into your business, because you're saying you're in the van market and now you have an ocean opportunity. And instead of pushing it aside, I don't do that. You're in the service area. Find a partner that's really good in that area and have them tag along. Tag team the customer. Stick to your niche in that ground. Oh, by the way, I brought Brian. Brian, I know we talked about the ocean side of your business and everything, and it's really intriguing. I'd love to help you. So I hope you don't mind. I'm going to bring Brian. He'll have to talk to you about it. And boom. I mean, things just start blossoming all over the place. So, find those partnerships. They're key. They're key in your business success. They really, really are.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I love that because, like,
this
like
is
take
a LinkedIn. I wonder, Steve, is this you? Going down in meetings, we fed off each other and learned so much and gave me a different perspective. That's got to be Steve. Steve and I traveled quite a bit and went to a ton of meetings, and it was awesome. We landed some pretty big deals together. So it was meetings for me are like the best. I love them.
That's
and
awesome.
The more people in the meeting, the better.
Better.
Yeah. Like
yep.
I've seen
A full table.
full table, and like, you just gotta make sure you bring enough pens and pads, with the branding on there. So you make sure to have it. And Jeff, I like that you said that SME, because a big thing for me is that I always bring my lead ops guy, my lead CS person on every single call, on every single meeting, just because these guys know what's going on. They know exactly what's going on in the market. Those who are not cradle to the grave, and having those conversations. But it's like, what, these guys, what, Dan, I like what you said, because my thing when it changed for me is when I realized that no one's trying to take business away from me. Like, I've had, like, okay, let me give you a great example. I don't know anything about warehousing, but we offer warehousing, and I've had my bosses come in and basically take everything and kind of basically close that for me in warehousing. But I was able to learn from there. But the mindset I had before was like, no, I need to be the guy, I need to be there, blah 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 blah. It's like, everybody just wants to see you succeed, man. Like, I don't think there's everybody here, all of us could be working the same customer right now, and it's like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because we all have different versions that we deal with different customers. So
and that's with the right people, Ryan.
Yes.
Because I believe everybody wants everybody to succeed, but unfortunately I've seen firsthand somebody have something happen in their life, so they have to kind of step away for a minute, come back, have an opportunity, higher ups swoop in, close the deal, and cut them out. So unfortunately, companies do it, and I know there's people out there listening that'll put together some brokerages that do that. Unfortunately, there's brokerages that hire people strictly for the purpose of land a few accounts. We're going to fire you and keep the accounts. Like, this is literally their game plan. So unfortunately, as much as we, I do believe everyone wakes up in the morning not wanting to screw anyone over. But unfortunately, there are people that wake up in the morning going, all right, how am I going to take from you so I can have? And, it brings us back to what Dean talks about. Always leave something on the table for somebody else.
Yeah.
And it also brings me up another point. Nicole Glenn, Candor Expedite, amazing lady. If you all don't follow her, make sure you do. When we did the 30-day program, where the idea was if you lost everything and only woke up tomorrow and you had a phone and a laptop, what would you do in the next 30 days to get your business back? Nicole's first thing she said was, I would figure out what kind of company I want to work with.
Yep.
And she was the only one out of the 10 people that I asked that said, I would start with the company, because if I don't get in with the right people, I'll never have the right support. And I was like, damn, that's a good one. Because, okay, again, how many of you, right, and including you guys, when you got into this business, stopped and said, okay, what kind of company are you? And do you meet my ideal company profile?
Yeah.
Right? Nobody. I don't think anyone has. I mean, you look at a lot of people, even if you move from brokerage to brokerage, a lot of the times it's because you put yourself in a bind and there's like some kind of signing bonus, or maybe somebody said, I'll treat you a little bit better, so you're going to go, or something. And then you shift, right? But do you interview the company? Do you have an ideal client, company profile?
Yeah.
You're saying, I'm going to work with this type of company, and that's it. And to me, I was like, wow, what a better foundation, like one of the best foundations for ultimate success. Because if you work with the right company, like you said, Ryan, a company that wants you to succeed, that says, hey, listen, you don't know much about warehousing, just put the call to me as the president or the vice president. I'll close it. It's your deal.
Yep.
That's the company you want to work for, because that's everybody working for the greater success of the entire corporation, which includes everybody down to the person that prints a friggin' invoice.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all the way down to the janitor that cleans the offices at the end of the day, to the guy that walks around and paints the walls so the office looks good. That's the whole company. That's the encompassing area that you work with. And if you as a sales rep are not concerned about every one of those people prospering, then you're missing a huge part of business that really, really needs to be exposed, because that's the part that's going to get you to the next level and beyond at everything. If you're consistently focused on making sure everybody is taken care of, and it's not me, you're going to win. And you're going to win no matter what. You're going to win, because, and even if, and I'll give you a perfect example. There was a gentleman I worked with. he was like a real hard worker, but he just couldn't close deals. I mean, it was close to 2 years he didn't close a deal. And I remember him coming in the office and goes, Dan, like I suck. And I go, you don't. You just haven't found the right person. And like he'd get a deal here, a little one, like, and all these salespeople around him were just like, their businesses are skyrocketing. I mean, you know, I walked in pretty much same time as him. I was doing 30, 40 G's a week. He was doing like 2, right? So you can see how frustrating that would be for a lot of people. And one day he just kept plugging, kept doing, and didn't change, didn't alter, didn't say, well, I'm going to be this person when I'm on the phone. He was like, this is him. And he started connecting with people that were like-minded, and his business blew up. Like, I mean, I told you guys a story about another guy that I worked with. It was baseball. All of his customers love baseball. His first thing was, do you like baseball? Because I suck at sales, but I love talking baseball.
Yeah.
That's what he said to 5, 6, 7, 800 traffic managers. And the ones that loved baseball all of a sudden became customers. Right? It's not just business. It's identify what you like.
Dan, I'll tell you that. I love that you say that, because like you can literally switch the word baseball and add the word dogs and you have me, you know.
That's
like
it.
you know, like I work with, like, I work in the pet food and the pet industry, and those are the conversations that we have. Like, people, like, if I was at my first job, I would say this person's weird for sending the dog picture in like their first email, you know. But like for me, that's like second nature now, you know. Like, even when we have a video call, you know, like you'll see my dogs in the background, things like that. And you know what, this industry is so big, you know, 12% of the GDP or whatever it is, and we can find the people that we
huge,
want to
brother.
work. Yeah,
It's
you
massive.
know, we could find, you know, and you know, like, just find what you like, you know, and love it. Because like, I know, Jeff, like, you're big into like steel and pipe and stuff like that. I just can't get up for that, you know. Like, I just,
Automotive.
yeah, like, that stuff's boring to me. But like, you want to talk wrestling, you want to talk basketball, you want to talk dogs to me, I'll do that all day long, you know.
Did you
And
say wrestling?
I love wrestling, man. I went to 4 wrestling events. Like, we got sick. We got sick. My wife is sick right now, but we went to like 3 wrestling events like 2 weeks ago, and we got sick at one of them. So it is what it is. But just coming back
Ryan,
to it, you know.
you continue to amaze me. You know how much water usage the Kardashians have, and you're into wrestling, and you know you send dog pictures on your first email. Dude, you just continue to amaze me, and you got like a water bottle there that's the size of my leg. You know, you just continue to amaze me, brother. It's awesome.
Yeah, so if anybody likes wrestling out there and wants to talk about, you know what's funny? I actually connected with a shipping manager who likes wrestling, but maybe that would be a different topic for another day.
Sure.
But you know, like, just do it. But Jeff, like, you know, I like what you said, like, you don't talk
put
freight.
their pants on one leg at a time, brother. Or, you know, if they're whatever, you know, humans put their women wear pants too. What am I talking about? Here I am getting all like, oh my gosh, I can't say that because everybody's gonna think it's like all just guys. You all know what I'm saying. Don't send me any nasty DMs. But yeah, it's like, listen, we're all human. We're all human. We all have certain things. Yeah, I was saying this yesterday to the group of individuals I had the pleasure of speaking with. I said, you know, here's the thing. Think of everything like you're scrolling through social media. Certain things in social media catch your eye.
Yep.
Right? Or it enters the conversation, enters your head where you're having the conversation. And that's all we have to do in sales, is we have to enter our prospect's mind where their conversation is right now. And for Ryan, if you were to send me an email with a picture of your dog, and like, I got 2 dogs sitting right beside me as I'm working, you got me. You got me.
Yeah. And it's just
My
like
he was dragging his wife to wrestling successfully 3 times in a week.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I
okay.
actually said that to her. I said that to her. Yeah, yeah. Hey, that's my big win from like 2 weeks ago. But you know, it's awesome to kind of hear, like, you know, like, everything ties in together every time we have a conversation, even when we quote unquote go off topic. But like, you know, like, we're just talking about, like, you find those like-minded people. Jeff said he went to Texas and he didn't talk business. You know, he didn't talk freight. He didn't talk about, hey, how many loads you got? I got some trucks in the area. You know, like, let's make it happen.
Because they know
what's your best price? I'll beat it by $50. You know, like, none of those conversations came up. And
well, that wouldn't be worth the plane flight.
Would not.
Right?
You know,
Like if
because
you
they
go to
know
a
that.
meeting and you
Know
travel
that.
halfway across the country to go to a meeting to say I can save you $50, you're wasting your time because you could have done that on a phone call in 3 seconds, right? Not to mention you're not selling, you're groveling and you're dropping your pants and bending over your desk and like just helping the entire industry go right to the bottom. But that's a topic for another day because I won't get into that right now. But serenity now.
Oh yes.
Okay.
But you know what?
All
I
right.
would love to go into that with you guys, maybe like next Thursday or something like that. Like actually talk about like do's and don'ts of like having in-person meetings and things like that,
Yeah,
because
that
I
would
think
be
it'll be
good.
beneficial because like especially a lot of like maybe people now getting into the industry, they're scared of
Well, why
that
don't we do
because
it
like I
on
said,
Monday?
I was scared to go
Monday's
into
training
meetings.
day.
Let's do it
Why
Monday.
don't we do it
Yeah.
Monday?
Yeah, Monday. Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be a great idea. Yeah,
All right, well,
because
it's 10 o'clock, gentlemen. As much as I'd love to stay here
is
all
it?
day and chat,
Oh,
I gotta go
Wait,
take
by
a
the way,
nap.
are we doing costumes on Monday, guys, or we're gonna keep it up to we're gonna
I got
surprise
my
the audience?
costume on now. I'm Hulk
The Hulk
Hogan. So
Hogan?
I think it's
You're not Hulk Hogan. You're Clay from Sam Crow, man. What are you talking about?
oh no,
that
no,
is.
I'm what Mark Ridley. I'm the guy on the beer can.
Yeah,
Bit of a
the
mark, man.
bodacious cowboy. Yeah, definitely. Let's yeah, sure, why not?
Tap into it on Monday. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I know everyone's kind of gonna go. Want to thank everybody for coming out this morning. It was fun to be with everybody. Just I know we got the full gang back today. So everyone definitely catch the replay at 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Be sure to kind of see what we're doing, and we got another jam-packed week for you. So if you found value, please like, comment, and share, and subscribe, and let us know.
Oh, and we're on the Muster.
What's
Elon Musk's Twitter, the Muster.
Oh, we're on Twitter.
We're
Okay.
on there. We do replay on there too. So yeah, we do replay on there. You hear he walked in as soon as the deal was done. He fired all the executives.
Yeah, he just let me see.
Just freaking cleaned
gangster, man.
house. It's hilarious.
You're out.
That's funny. And
Centurion Trucking, our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion Trucking and start designing your career today.